Did you ever realise that there's a connection between the fish we eat here and the emergence of piracy off the coast of Somalia? I know it sounds bizarre, but it's actually true, and here's how it's worked out. In 1950, the world ate 20 million tonnes of fish. Today we consume over 140 million tonnes each year. So if we're eating a lot more fish, we've got to catch a lot more fish. Enter the super trawler. Massive floating fish factories that can sail anywhere on the globe and in one day catch what used to take months. The problem is they're so successful that they're taking fish out of the ocean faster than the fish can reproduce. And that means that in a whole lot of the world's fishing grounds, fish numbers are in decline. And when they get too low, the super trawlers move on to somewhere new. And that's where Somalia comes into the picture. In the early 1990s, international fishing fleets started showing up in Somali waters. And that was bad news for local fishermen. Their nets were being cut, and they could see the writing on the wall, that these super trawlers would fish out their fishing grounds and then simply move on. Meanwhile, the locals would be left with no fish and even more poverty. So they formed a volunteer coast guard to keep the trawlers out. And it didn't take too long for someone to realise there was more money to be made in holding ships for ransom than keeping them out, and Somali piracy was born. But here's the thing that makes my head spin. It all began with taking too many fish out of the ocean in order to meet the demands of rich country consumers like me. So that got me wondering, is the same thing happening in other areas? Are we running down other resources in the same way we've done with fish? And if we are, what sort of knock-on effects is that creating for people across the planet? Well, I found an answer. Check this out. It's called the ecological footprint. This line represents the Earth's capacity to provide for us. As long as we stay below that line, we're okay. Below the line, the Earth is producing resources faster than we're using them up. Above the line, it's the opposite. Above the line, we're using resources faster than the Earth can replace them. Below the line, the Earth's able to absorb all the waste we create. Above the line, we're producing too much waste. Now watch this. That's pretty scary. Sometime around 1980, humanity went above the line, and each year since we've been going further above the line. The higher we go, the more ecosystems break down, and the more negative knock-on effects there are for people. And you know what's particularly confronting? The biggest reason we've gone above the line is people like me who live in affluent countries. Look at this. Between 1970 and 2010, the global population doubled. More people obviously means more consumption and more demand on the Earth's resources. But that's only a tiny part of the reason we've gone above the line. The bigger reason is this. Look at what happened to consumption. It's gone up 8-fold, and almost all of that comes from affluent countries like ours. It's all those flat-screen TVs, cars and air conditioners. What do we do with that? What do you do with that?